I am not able to be there today. I have an appointment. So that is why we have a sub and why I am recording this video for you. So I'm going to just walk you through the things that we typically do in class each day and help the sub kind of manage what we are doing. So the first thing we always do is write down in our journals our essential vocabulary word, which is technically our warm-up. So the word that you are writing down today is the word pun. A pun is basically a play on words. It's a dad joke. It's one of those types of figurative language or figures of speech that we've been reviewing this week through our figurative language boot camp. So that's the first thing that we are going to do is look at examples of puns and see if we can figure out what some mean. So we're going to go straight into our figurative language boot camp slideshow, and I'm going to go to the slide on puns. Now, right now, it is very difficult for me to play a video and do this and all at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain puns, and then you are going to break into small groups and you are going to watch this video together with your small group and do a little activity. Since I can't put the video in this video, does not quite work the way that we would like it to. So remember, the way that you get to this slideshow is by going to our weekly slideshow. Let me move my head out of the way. Today is Friday. You're going to click on the link that says Introduce Puns, and it will take you right to the slideshow. So somebody in your group will be able to get you there, and then you will watch that video. But before we do that, let me introduce puns to you. So puns are words, phrases used in a way that gives it a funny little twist. There's something about a word that gets used incorrectly or in a funny way. We also know them as dad jokes. So if you have anybody in your life that likes to just mess with words, play dad jokes, they usually get the eye rolls. Those are puns. Some good examples of puns are decimals have a point. That's a good one for Mrs. DeCure. We all know decimals actually are points. So, of course, they have a point, right? This one, I was going to look for my missing watch, but I could never find the time because a watch helps tell time. They couldn't find it because it was missing. And then the last one, drinking too much coffee can cause a lot of problems. Latte is just an example of a type of coffee. So, of course, drinking too much of it can cause a latte problem. So that's what a pun is. So in just a moment, what I'm going to have our sub do and you guys do, let me see if I can make myself bigger. There we go. Big head. The sub's going to give every group a paper that has some examples of puns on them. There's a level A, there's a level B, and at the bottom, there's a level C. They go from easiest to hardest. So, of course, level A is easier, level B is kind of medium, level C are the most challenging puns. What I want you to do with your group is first go watch that video together of all of the other examples of puns in the little video, and then work together for about 5 minutes or so and see how many of these you can figure out. If you all put your heads together, somebody in your group will be able to figure it out. And if not, you can always ask another group that maybe has figured it out, or you can ask your sub and maybe they can help you figure it out. But these are just all examples of puns. So pause me and go ahead, watch the video with your group, and then see how many of these you can figure out. Each group only needs one paper because you're going to be working together. I sure hope you had a pun time as you were working through the puns. The next little task that we have today is to work on our Article of the Week conclusion. Remember, this is the last step of writing our Article of the Week response. We wrote our introduction on Tuesday. You wrote your body, answered the question, talked about the sources, talked about your own writing life on Wednesday, Thursday. And today, you're just wrapping everything up with writing your conclusion. So remember, a conclusion's job is to wrap everything up, tie everything up with a neat little bow. You can always go into our article of the week slideshow and click over to the little instruction slides here. Look at a template, some step-by-step instructions for completing an AOW. And if you click over to the one about writing a conclusion, it just gives you some little tips to help you write a conclusion, some transition phrases. You want to make sure you restate the topic, review the topic, put your reader into the situation. Like the next time you have to write, or you have an option of writing, maybe you should do handwriting instead of typing on your iPad. Transition phrases like in conclusion, in the end, on the whole, to conclude, in summary. Those are some little strategies. So you can always hop over to that slideshow to find some strategies, review those strategies. So pause me. Take 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes, 10 minutes to write your conclusions. All right, the last part of our lesson today is the next step of our scary story. And you guys are right where you are beginning to write the rising action. You just wrote your introductions yesterday, so we are going to work on the rising action today. The rising action is the body, basically beginning the body of your story. You're not quite to the climax, you're not quite to the main event, but you are creating suspense and building up that conflict, building up your story. So I've got some strategies, I can't talk today, of how you might be able to add some suspense to your story. So remember, suspense is a state or a condition of mental uncertainty or excitement, like awaiting something to happen, awaiting a decision, awaiting an outcome. In your scary story, it's building up to that big scary moment. So there's some apprehension, there's some anxiety, there's some mental indecision. So how do you add suspense to your stories? Well, there is a video right here. I can't click on it and watch it right now or show it to you as a class in my video because YouTube won't allow that. But if you guys, before you start writing yours, go watch this video. It's a TED Ed video about how to make your writing suspenseful, and it's one of the best TED Ed videos I have ever seen. So right before you start writing, find this little link through our links in our slideshow and make sure you watch that. Some of the things that they talk about in that video to add suspense to your story: continue to develop your setting as being really creepy, spooky. Use lots of descriptions, use lots of figurative language. Try to show what is happening. Don't just say what is happening. Describe it so that your reader can feel it, can picture it, can smell it. Remember all of that imagery we talked about. Limit your point of view. Now, you should have already chosen your point of view, but limiting the point of view to first person makes it a little more suspenseful because you don't see the whole picture. You only see what that one person is seeing. You can add foreshadowing, little hints of things that might be happening, but don't give them away. You can raise a question or a worry for your character. You can have like some irony twists that happen. The opposite of what you think is going to happen actually happens. Again, we are not using cliffhangers for this particular story, so don't go there. And then there is something called the magic of 3 that I'm going to show you about. The magic of 3 is where you mention something 3 different times, and that helps to build suspense. For example, this is a little passage about a person walking along the beach, and he sees something in the water. The first paragraph, it talks about a peculiar splash caught his eye. He turned toward the water and peered into the waves, but there was no sign whatsoever of what was splashing. He shrugs and goes along the shore. The second time, he hears it, an unusual bellowing sound. He turns around. He can't figure out what it is, but the waves are there. He gets closer to the water trying to figure it out. And then the third time, without warning, something huge and shiny seemed to leap out of the water. Carlos gasped and covered his mouth. It was a whale. So notice that that writer gives 3 little hints of what it is before they actually reveal what it is. You can also use what are referred to as red flag words. Red flag words are words like suddenly, a moment later, the next thing I knew, just then, in the blink of an eye, instantly, all of a sudden, without warning, to my surprise. Any of those like adverbs that you came up with in your vocabulary word list would be really helpful for this. So before you start writing, go back, find this video right here on YouTube, the TED Ed video, how to make your writing suspenseful. You can just search for it in YouTube, or you can find this link and click on it. Watch that little video and then get into writing your rising action. Don't get to the climax yet, but now you're taking your characters towards that climax.